Let me tell you something nobody wants to admit. The hardest emotion to recognize isn't indifference. It's not even hate. It's love wrapped in fear. Because here's what happens. You meet someone and something shifts. The air changes when she walks into a room. Conversations go deeper than they should for two people who barely know each other. And then, nothing. Or worse than nothing. Mixed signals that make you question your own sanity. So you start asking yourself, does she feel this too? Or am I imagining it? And that's the trap, because you're looking for confirmation in all the wrong places. You're waiting for her to say something, to make it clear, to give you that green light. But what if I told you that the very thing you're waiting for, that clarity, that directness, is exactly what she can't give you? Not because she doesn't feel it, but because she feels it too much. See, most men don't understand this. When a woman is genuinely falling for you, when it's real and deep and threatening to everything she thought she had figured out, that's when she becomes the least capable of showing it. That's when the armor goes up. That's when fear takes the wheel. And you're sitting there trying to read the signals like some kind of emotional detective, wondering if you should move closer or back off entirely. So let me give you the reality check you probably don't want to hear. If you're confused, if you're getting mixed messages, if she's hot one day and cold the next, there's a chance she's not playing games. There's a chance she's terrified. But here's the thing you need to understand before we go any further. Your job is not to decode her fear. Your job is to maintain your own clarity. Because the moment you start confusing someone's emotional chaos with depth, the moment you start telling yourself that push-pull dynamics mean she's really into me, that's when you lose yourself. So let's walk through this. Let me show you what fear looks like when it's dressed up as love. And more importantly, let me show you what to do about it. Sign number 1. Nervous energy. Body speaks before the mouth. You ever notice how some people just change when you're around? I'm not talking about casual attraction. I'm talking about something deeper, something involuntary. Her hands fidget. She touches her hair more than she needs to. When you're talking, she'll laugh a little too loud or go quiet at strange moments. Eye contact becomes this weird battlefield. She'll hold your gaze just long enough to make your chest tighten, then look away like she touched something hot. This is her nervous system betraying her. Because cognitively, she might have a whole plan. She might have decided she's not ready, or you're not the right fit, or the timing is wrong, or whatever story she's telling herself to stay in control. But her body doesn't care about those stories. Her body is responding to you on a level she can't intellectually override. Now, here's where most men screw this up. They see nervousness and think, she's uncomfortable. I should back off. And sometimes, sure, that's the right read. But other times, that nervousness isn't discomfort. It's overwhelm. It's her system trying to regulate the fact that you make her feel something she wasn't prepared to feel. The difference? Discomfort makes people withdraw completely. They create distance. They keep conversations short. But this kind of nervous energy, it keeps her orbiting. She might be anxious, but she doesn't leave. She keeps showing up. She keeps engaging. She's just doing it while barely holding it together. Deep down, you already know what that means. What to do. Don't point it out. Don't ask if she's nervous. Don't try to reassure her or make her comfortable. That's you trying to fix her fear, and you can't. What you can do is stay grounded. Be calm. Be present. Let your steadiness become the counterweight to her chaos. And for God's sake, don't mirror her anxiety. Because if you start getting nervous because she's nervous, you've just turned an emotional moment into a feedback loop of awkwardness. That's not connection. That's just two people drowning together. Sign number 2, close attention, distant eyes, memory versus vulnerability. She remembers everything. I mean everything. You mention in passing that you don't like olives, and 3 weeks later, she's ordering food for a group and makes sure there are no olives. You tell her about a project you're stressed about, and days later, she asks how it went, even though you barely remember mentioning it. She's paying attention on a level that most people don't. She's tracking you, learning you, building a detailed map of who you are. But here's the kicker. When you try to go deeper, when you ask her something real about herself, when you push past the surface, She deflects. She pivots. She gives you just enough to seem open, but never enough to actually be vulnerable. You know what that is? That's projection. She's investing emotionally without risking rejection. Because attention is safe, observation is safe. She can care about you from a distance, memorize your patterns, anticipate your needs. And none of that requires her to admit how much she's feeling. But vulnerability? That's the one thing she can't fake. That's the one thing that would confirm what she's not ready to face. Come on, you know this feeling. You've seen it. She'll text you at 2 a.m. because she saw something that reminded her of you, but the next day when you're sitting face to face, she's suddenly distant. She'll make you feel like the most important person in her world, then act like nothing happened. That's not inconsistency. That's someone trying to stay in control while their emotions are spiraling. What to do? Stop chasing vulnerability. Seriously. Stop asking her to open up or trying to coax her into deeper conversations. You think you're creating intimacy, but what you're actually doing is putting pressure on her to perform emotions she's not ready to give. Instead, match her energy, show up, be present, but don't make her fear of vulnerability your responsibility to fix. And here's the hard truth. If she never moves past this, if the attention never turns into actual openness, then this isn't love, it's fascination. And fascination fades. Don't confuse someone watching you closely with someone ready to build with you. Sign number 3, silent jealousy, polite smiles, and veiled concern. She doesn't say she's jealous, she's too smart for that, too composed. But you mention another woman, a coworker, an ex, even just someone you ran into, and something shifts. It's subtle. Her smile tightens. Her voice goes just a little flatter. She might even say something supportive, something like, "Oh, that's nice, snide." But the energy behind it tells a completely different story. Or she'll start asking questions, casual ones. So, how do you know her? Is she single? Do you guys hang out a lot? And she'll frame it like curiosity, like she's just making conversation, but really, she's mapping the threat. She's trying to figure out where she stands without ever admitting she cares where she stands. This is what jealousy looks like when it's being managed by someone who refuses to acknowledge what they're feeling. Because to admit jealousy would be to admit investment. And investment is vulnerability. And vulnerability is terrifying. So instead, she stays polite. She stays composed. But inside, she's running every scenario of how that other woman might be a problem. Now, here's the part most men miss. This isn't flattering. This isn't some cute sign that she's into you. This is fear masquerading as care. Because real love doesn't operate from scarcity. Real love doesn't see every other woman as a potential rival. But fear? Fear sees threats everywhere. What to do? Don't feed into it. Don't try to reassure her by downplaying other women or making her feel special. That's you teaching her that jealousy works, that her fear gets rewarded with your attention. Instead, be honest. Be clear about where you stand. But don't adjust your life to manage her insecurity. Because the second you start editing your world to accommodate her fear, you've lost your center. And a man without a center is just a passenger in someone else's emotional storm. That's not love, that's fear wearing perfume. Sign number 4, accidental presence, emotional hovering. She just keeps showing up. Not in an obvious way. She's not chasing you. She's not texting you constantly or asking to hang out every day. But somehow she's always around. You go to a group event, she's there. You post something online, she's the first to respond. You mention you're grabbing coffee at a certain place, and suddenly she happens to be in the area. This is what I call emotional hovering. It's proximity without commitment. She wants to be in your orbit, but she doesn't want to be obvious about it. Because being obvious would mean admitting intention. And admitting intention would mean risking rejection. So instead, she creates these accidental moments. She positions herself close enough to stay relevant, but far enough to maintain plausible deniability. "Oh, I wasn't trying to see you. I just happened to be here." Come on, you know that's not an accident. This is someone who wants access to you but is too afraid to ask for it directly. So she engineers circumstances, she creates opportunities, she makes herself available without ever saying the words, I want to be near you. And here's the psychological truth behind it. Proximity is the compromise her nervous system makes. She can't admit she's falling for you, but she also can't stay away. So she hovers. She orbits. She stays close enough to feel connected, but distant enough to feel safe. What to do? Notice it, but don't call it out. Don't say, I feel like you're always around. That just makes things awkward and puts her on the defensive. Instead, recognize it for what it is, interest mixed with fear, and decide what you want. Because here's the thing, hovering doesn't build anything. It's just emotional stalling. So if you're interested, create real opportunities. Invite her directly, be clear. But if she keeps declining or deflecting while still hovering, that's your answer. She's not ready. And you don't wait for someone to become ready. You find someone who already is. Don't mistake someone's inability to commit for a sign of deeper feelings. Sign number 5, emotional push-pull, connection followed by withdrawal. This is the one that messes with your head the most. One day she's all in. The conversation flows. The chemistry is undeniable. You can feel it. The way she leans in, the way she laughs, the way she looks at you like you're the only person in the room. And you walk away thinking, okay, this is real. This is happening. And then the next day, she's gone. Not physically, but emotionally. She's distant, short responses, suddenly busy. And you're left wondering what the hell you did wrong. You didn't do anything wrong. That's not what this is. This is what happens when someone's feelings outpace their readiness. When the connection gets too real, when the vulnerability gets too close, her nervous system hits the panic button. So she pulls back. She creates distance. Not because she doesn't feel it, but because she feels it too much. This is classic attachment theory in action. If she has an avoidant attachment style, intimacy triggers fear. The closer you get, the more unsafe she feels. So she withdraws. She resets. She goes back to a distance that feels manageable. And you're stuck in this loop of highs and lows trying to figure out which version of her is real. Here's the truth. They're both real. The connection is real. The fear is real. But that doesn't make it your problem to solve. What to do? Stop chasing the highs. Seriously, stop trying to recreate those moments of connection by doing more, saying more, being more, because what you're actually doing is teaching her that pulling away gets rewarded with pursuit. And that's how you end up in a dynamic where you're always chasing and she's always retreating. Instead, stay consistent. Don't match her withdrawal with withdrawal, but don't chase her back either. Be steady, be present, but emotionally stay neutral. And if the push/pull continues indefinitely, walk. Because what you're experiencing isn't intimacy, it's emotional whiplash. And no amount of deep connection in the good moments is worth the confusion of the bad ones. That's not love, that's fear with good marketing. Sign number 6, silent support, actions without words. She shows up for you in ways that don't require her to say anything. You mention you're stressed and she sends you a song. You're going through something difficult and she checks in, not with big emotional declarations, but with simple presence. Just wanted to see how you're doing. She remembers what matters to you. She offers help without being asked. She supports you in quiet, almost invisible ways. This is love trying to express itself without the risk of words. Because words require acknowledgement. Words can be rejected. But actions? Actions can be explained away. I was just being a good friend. I happen to be thinking of you. This is someone who cares deeply but can't afford to be seen caring, so she does it in the shadows. She supports you from a safe distance. She shows you love in ways that let her maintain plausible deniability. And to be clear, this isn't manipulation. This is self-protection. This is what it looks like when someone's heart is moving faster than their courage. What to do? Appreciate it, acknowledge it, but don't overread it. Don't turn silent support into proof that she's secretly in love with you and just waiting for the right moment to confess. Because sometimes silent support is all someone can offer. And if that's not enough for you, if you need words, if you need clarity, if you need someone who can actually say what they feel, then this isn't your person. Not yet. Maybe not ever. And that's okay. You're allowed to need more than breadcrumbs of affection. Actions without words are beautiful, but they're not a relationship. So here's the bottom line. If you're reading these signs and recognizing them, if you're sitting there thinking, that's her, that's exactly what she does, then yeah, there's a chance she's feeling something. There's a chance the fear is real. There's a chance that underneath all the mixed signals and confusion, there's something genuine. But here's what you need to understand. That's not your cue to double down. That's not your cue to try harder, to wait longer, to convince her that it's safe to love you. Because your job is not to decode fear. Your job is not to become a lighthouse for someone lost in their own emotional storm. Your job is to maintain clarity, to know what you want, to recognize when someone is ready and when someone is just scared. And scared isn't enough. Scared doesn't build anything. Scared just keeps you in limbo while she figures herself out. So if she's in love with you but too afraid to show it, that's her work, not yours. You can be patient. You can be present. You can be steady. But you cannot, and I mean this, you cannot mistake fear for depth. You cannot confuse indecision with intimacy. You cannot sit around waiting for someone to become brave enough to choose you. Because while you're waiting, you're not living, you're not building, you're just hoping. And hope without action is just suffering with a better narrative. So here's my challenge to you. Stop trying to interpret the signs. Stop trying to figure out if she's scared or uninterested, if she loves you or she's just confused. Instead, ask yourself a simpler question. Is this person showing up for me in the way I need? Not in theory, not in potential, not in those magical moments when everything aligns, but consistently, daily, in the real, unglamorous work of building something together? If the answer is no, then it doesn't matter how scared she is. It doesn't matter how deep her feelings might be underneath it all. Because a man's role is not to decode fear, it's to maintain clarity. It's to know his worth. It's to refuse to settle for confusion when he deserves certainty. That's not coldness. That's not giving up on love. That's just refusing to lose yourself in someone else's chaos. And trust me, that's the most loving thing you can do for her and for yourself.